All right. So, good morning, everyone. Thank y'all for joining the Ag Econ and Community Development meeting. I'm going to start by introducing myself. My name is Blake Carter. I am the Southern Region Vice Chair for our committee this past year and the previous year. And I've had the pleasure of working with a great team and great committee. Hopefully, some of them will be joining us shortly. We have worked kind of this year to plan for the future for this committee. So as we go through our meeting today, we'll have some updates on what the future might hold for this committee. Before we get into some of those specifics, if we could, let's go around and let's introduce ourselves so we can make sure everybody's aware of everybody here. So JJ, if you want to go ahead and start for us.
All right, guys. I'm JJ Jones. I work for OSU Extension, and that would be Oklahoma State, not the Ohio State. So, not to be confused, we wear orange, not that ugly red color. So, but I'm an area ag economist by trade, and then also I'm the vice president for NACA as well. So,
Robin.
My name is Robin Stewart. I am out of Georgia, and I'm going to try to take some minutes here for Blake and for Madeline, although I may have to duck out early. So, Scott, maybe if I could get the recording from you, that would be helpful.
Madeline, I see you coming in. You wanna introduce yourself? Madeline, you're still on mute.
Thank you, Blake. I hope you can hear me now. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this meeting this morning. We do have a discussion guide for our conversation this morning, so I'll go ahead and share my screen and bring that up for you. Hopefully you can see that okay, and hopefully that will help. Well, first of all, I'd like to say that it has been a real pleasure working with this year's team. Blake, whoops, I actually made a mistake on here. I see on my discussion guide. Lindsay was the previous year and William was the previous year. So I have to correct this. Sorry about that. But this year's team was Blake and Samantha and Jacob and Chris. So I have the correct names there, but I have too many. So sorry about that. But then I wanted to announce that for next year, we've got some new people coming on. I will be stepping down as chair and Blake will be stepping in as the new chair. So thank you, Blake, and congratulations there. So these new leaders will be put forth for confirmation. But then we'll make that transition. And then Nathan Helsinki will take my place as the North Central vice chair, and Robin Stewart will take Blake's place as the Southern Regional Vice Chair. So we're looking forward to some new leadership, and just really thank everyone for being involved there. So for the coming year, this year's team has set in motion a plan for some monthly meetings that will start in September. I didn't actually put that down here. They will start in September and on the second Wednesday of the month at 3 p.m. Eastern. The idea with these monthly meetings is to invite all of the state ag econ and community development chairs, as well as any other interested people. In the past, this committee has basically met as a committee, and we haven't had a lot of involvement just from those state leaders or other interested people. So we'd really like to change that and start to involve more people. And then we want to involve more people because we have a lot of ideas for what we can do within this committee, such as cross-state collaboration, some expertise and resource sharing, and just strengthening this committee to make it more valuable for other members. So we can discuss all of those ideas a little bit later in this meeting this morning. I just wanted to mention briefly too that we have put forth a couple considerations for the national board, and we want to just kind of keep those out there to see if we can move those forward a little bit. And the first idea is creating a new search for excellence area or expanding the current areas to include more opportunities for those involved in community development. When we think about ag econ, of course we have the farm management search for excellence area, which covers a lot of the activity, but it doesn't really capture the community development type activities. So there's kind of a missing opportunity for our members that are involved in specifically in community development. And then the other idea is trying to find some more opportunities for mentoring and additional career support. So this is kind of a big overall picture of some of the goals and where we're going next. And now I'd like to just kind of go back to some of these topics and open it up for discussion with all of you. So first of all, Blake, do you have anything you would like to say right now as our incoming chair, or any vision or goals that you would like to share at this time? I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot for this, so that's okay.
Well, Madeline, first off, I want to say thank you, because when I first came into my first ag econ meeting, Amanda Smith introduced me to you, and you've been a big role model for me as a younger agent. So I really do appreciate all that you've done teaching me and preparing me to take on a higher role in this group. So thank you so much for that. Kind of like you said, I think we really want to build a connection with all the states and all their leaders of in the ag econ's field. And I think there's a opportunity for us moving forward for a lot more cross-state collaborations, interest in that regard. I did want to say I put in the chat box a Qualtrics survey when you were talking about the monthly meetings. That survey, we're going to have QR codes available for when we're doing our presentations and oral presentations this year at AMPIC, to fill out that survey, give us your interests, what you want out of the monthly meetings and things like that. It shouldn't take more than 5 minutes to fill out. It's super easy to do. But Madeline and myself and the rest of the committee are going to come up with a really good flyer and little QR code to kind of go through the meeting. But just teamwork and looking ahead, just collaborate together and work towards a common goal.
Thank you so much, Blake. And yes, thanks for mentioning the flyer too, because I was thinking about that Friday or over the weekend, and that is a flyer that we would like to have available just for us to pass out at the NACAA AMPIC this year, so that we can just kind of let people know that, hey, this committee is here and we want to support you and we want you to join us at these monthly meetings. So it's just going to be a small flyer that we can easily pass out and just encourage people to join us in those monthly meetings. Thank you. Okay, well, let's go down our list, and Robin, I see you have joined us as well, so thank you for joining us and good morning to you. So let's talk a little bit more about cross-state collaboration and what some of our ideas are for there. And, you know, right now we're just trying to put some ideas out on the board, so to speak. I kind of do some brainstorming together here. So what are some things you'd like to see happen as far as cross-state collaboration?
Don't be scared to jump in now.
I know that when we have discussed this in the past, we were thinking about maybe some, you know, sharing some really great programs that we have. For example, one of the things that I'm doing is a Women in Ag Leadership Conference, and of course also working with Annie's project, Farm Business Management. And those are some examples of some programs that we could share across state line. We were also thinking about some possibilities of doing some grant proposals collaboratively, especially if we have some common interest, that we could be stronger together, so to speak, and bring some new resources to our programming that way. So the grant opportunities and just sharing the programs are a couple of examples.
Another one we mentioned was about the about bringing like a common place for our specialty areas, because each university brings a different pool of tools to the table. And it's, you know, it's harder to find them when you have to go to each individual website. And, you know, we have a really good opportunity with NACAA's website, and possibly having a place where we could put on there links, direct links, say, you know, Tennessee's really good at taxes, farm taxing and things like that. Specialists are working in that field. There'll be a link to those specialists, you know, page, or their contact information, or just some presentations or links that could help agents in other states nearby. I thought, you know, we pitched that idea, and that could be a good way to kind of realize what resources are out there. You don't know what you don't know. And if you have a spot where you can actually see other states, specialty areas, you might find a common interest that you didn't know that was there before. So that's another thing we were talking about. That's part of the survey is talking about some of their specialty areas, and also areas that their university specializes in the ag econ department. So, but any other ideas or thoughts?
Have some of you done something similar just within your state, sharing that, you know, expertise through an online portal? I know we have tried to do that here in Iowa. And it's a bit challenging because it's always changing. There's always, you know, new people moving in and out. There's always, you know, even people changing their specialty areas, or focusing on a little bit different topics as they move through their careers. So within our state, keeping it update has been a bit of a challenge. However, people have found it helpful, and like, oh, you know, this is my interest, and I didn't know that, you know, Joe over here was interested in that as well.
And Madeline had a really good idea about the programming side. Do you want to mention about the 5-minute little like round table thing about the programs, kind of getting the collaboration up and going, and like ideas?
Sure. So that's actually one of the things that we do quite a bit here in Iowa at our meetings, whether they're virtual or face-to-face, is have what we call lightning talks. And I'm sure you've heard of lightning talks before, but it's a really great way just to hear about what our colleagues in Extension are doing in 5 minutes. You know, share share 5 slides in 5 minutes and tell us what's new and exciting in your area. And that has been really well received in our state. So we thought we could do that at some of the meetings that we have coming up, like the monthly meetings and so forth, so that we could kind of have a plan, maybe do, 2 lightning talks each month or something like that. Just as a way for people to get ideas about programs and things and just share what's new and what we're doing.
I almost feel like something that might be valuable at a committee level would even to do like a needs assessment among us. Because I think every year we meet and I think every year we have some similar threads of, what are the major topics that people want materials on versus how are we crossing state lines and collaborating versus how are we creating these hubs of materials for end users. And so I think sometimes, sitting back and saying, okay, like what do we want this committee to do deliberately? Do we want it to be more of a collaborative idea sharing among ourselves of here are the things that are happening across the country and what's being successful? Or is it more of a, here are some of the prepackaged things that you can take home, or what does that look like? And I think that until we really dig into exactly what we want the purpose of our work to work towards right now, and again, that changes with time, it's not going to be forever. I think we kind of are shooting a little bit from the hip more than maybe we need to. So I think maybe just maybe by the time we get to AMPIC this year, maybe we say, hey, like, can we have, even an email to you or Blake and say, here are the 3 or 4 things that I really think we need to emphasize on, and we can give them some categories to work from if that's helpful.
Yes, thank you, Robin. Appreciate those comments. And, I will say that we have tried to get some feedback from people, and I feel like we have gotten at least some good feedback as a starting point as far as what people are interested in. And the monthly meetings are really going to help us because once we know, okay, what people are interested in, then we have to have more opportunities for people to meet and discuss those ideas, right? So I think the combination of the survey, which Blake put in the chat box, and then having those meetings where we're able to discuss this in more detail will help. So, and those are all ideas we have about strengthening this committee to offer members more value. And, we've done some really great work in the past bringing super seminars to the AMPIC. This year, we are doing a pre-conference tour. I know, Sam, when it was scheduled for Pennsylvania and then it got, that AMPIC was actually canceled. I believe that was 2020. There was going to be a tour put on by this committee, which unfortunately didn't happen. But I'm super excited about the tour we have this year to Waco. And it's a 1-day tour. It's not a very expensive tour to do. And I think we're going to get a lot of value out of that. So it's kind of something we haven't done a pre-conference tour in quite some time. So I'm hoping that could be a starting point to a really good thing too. Because with the focus on economic development and, it's just quite different than some of the other tours. Are there other ideas that you have today about strengthening this committee to offer members more value? Well, that will no doubt come with the survey that we're planning to do as part of our seminars. So we have actually 12 seminars scheduled this year. 10 of them will be on Tuesday, which is the main seminar day, and 2 of them will be on Wednesday, which is kind of that extra day for a few more than 10. And that having that extra day on Wednesday does help some of our people who are involved also in the I'm just blanking out here, the delegate meeting, excuse me, the delegate meeting on Tuesday morning. So that is helpful. Okay, well, we have Scott with us today. Hello, Scott, and hello, JJ. Thank you for joining us. I have a question for you all about the website. Is there an opportunity within the current website to have some space for this committee to share expertise? Is that something that might be possible, or is it something that's at all been talked about by the national board?
Well, I'm not sure if Scott's paying attention, but as far as on the national board, have we been talking about it? No, because what it is if this committee was to request that, then that's when we'd start discussing it. We're not gonna, and I was looking on the website earlier this morning, and I noticed that there's 2 committees that do have web pages within our, in our own web page, and that's horticulture is one of them, and I can't remember the other committee that has it. But so there's probably a possibility for you to have a page within our system. The thing we have to be mindful of, and as economists, you will appreciate this. If I was talking to the animal science people, they wouldn't appreciate it very much. But we have to be mindful of the cost, because we hire this website developed, and every time we make a change, it's dollar signs, and so we have to weigh the cost versus the benefit, which we're not afraid to spend money. I'm not going to tell you we are, but we just have to be mindful of it. Does that make sense to y'all?
Okay.
And again, talking to economists, y'all, it makes sense to y'all, but some other people it wouldn't.
Sure. And so one of the things then we might want to consider is using like a SharePoint or some other kind of folder to share resources as well. So there's definitely options there.
So Madeline, I'm going to tell you the problem we have with that. Because we run into this even on the board. Depending on what university system you work with, depends on what system you can use. So some universities, Microsoft, some universities, Google, some universities, and so that's the issue we have is using like, for example, here at OSU, we use OneDrive, but I can't share it with anybody that doesn't have an okstate.edu email address. And so I have to use my private OneDrive to share stuff with. Then you go to places who don't use Microsoft, they use Google. And so that's just the hassle we have with that. And Madeline, if we can ever convince universities to all do the same thing, we'd be great. I think we could make it work. So
definitely. And I definitely run into that just with the various committees and boards that I'm on too. Because our university does not support Google at all.
Yeah.
So
See, and I think it's Tennessee that uses Google Drive or Google Docs or whatever, and it was I had to use my Google. I have a Gmail address too, so I've got a Gmail address. I've got an Outlook address. Trying to combat these things. So
sure.
I think the easiest way would be to use our website. But again, we're not against, or matter of fact, we're for using and doing this and stuff. We just got to be mindful of the costs and stuff. So
yeah.
And believe it or not, it is not cheap.
Well, JJ, I was thinking, and Madeline too, we could use the survey and these pilot monthly meetings as a way to gauge interest and then also recruit interest, because for that to come to fruition, we're going to need buy-in from outside of just our 4 committee members. So this could be a way to do that before we propose it or request it from the committee or the board to talk about. Maybe that could be a good way to, prove it works and worth the investment before we do so.
The one thing and an idea, and guys, I'm here, I'm not even here as an advisor. I wanted to step in just to kind of see how this online committee meetings went, because I remember back in the day when we had these at the AMPIC, and it would be just the 4 the committee members show up. And but one thing to think about is maybe possibly, y'all's presentations, if you can get the PowerPoints or whatever they use. I know not everybody uses PowerPoint, but and maybe putting those PowerPoints on the website. Because I get that asked all the time, well, can I have your PowerPoint? And I don't have a problem with sending out, my PowerPoint. I usually PDF it so they can't change it, but they can copy it, and stuff like that. But maybe we can do that and start adding PowerPoints. Because again, I go to your committee presentation, your oral presentations, and if I don't take good notes, I forget the next day what I saw. So I want to go back and refresh my memory. So that may be somewhere where to start.
Mhm. Okay, thank you, JJ. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about these considerations for the national board. And then JJ, I would like to go back and put up our notes from our in-person committee meeting last year, and just kind of talk a little bit about the online meeting versus the face-to-face meeting, if you don't mind. I think that might be helpful.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, so as I mentioned, a consideration that we have is how to involve those community development folks in the Search for Excellence Awards. It's just kind of hard for them to fit their programs into the categories that are already established. So if we want to pursue this in the coming year, JJ, could you offer some insights or guidelines on how we would do that?
So I'm just going to tell you, and being on the board, multiple different times and stuff, what the board needs is precise direction of what y'all want to do. Being very broad and very kind of vague doesn't, you don't understand. I don't know, I can however many committees and however many requests we get at the post board meeting. So, it takes, so be specific on what you want to do. I will tell you this, Madeline, and it's going to be, and this will be brought up, and this pains me because I'm an ag economist by trade. This year, there was only 6 entries in the Farm Business Management Search for Excellence.
There was, oh my.
Yeah. So it would be, if y'all came forward and said, hey, we want to create another Search for Excellence, community resource development, the question is going, well, we don't have a whole lot of participation in the Farm and Ranch Business Management one. You see where I'm getting at? So so that's going to be the first kind of hurdle to jump over. I will also let you know that there are some changes coming along in the committee structure, and I'm not real sure, but does community and resource development, would it fit in the ag awareness category, which is an award? It's not Search for Excellence. It will be in a year from now, because that committee is being dissolved and it's going to be changed in Search for Excellence. But so maybe we revamp that ag awareness award to kind of fit community development. Now, I've never applied for the ag awareness. I can't tell you if it fits or not. Y'all may have to look at that and see. But so
I applied this past year for it, JJ, and I think it would complement that award very, very well.
Okay.
So that is one consideration.
So anyway, you see what I'm saying? So the board's not the board's not against any and making changes. And matter of fact, the board probably now is more open to changing than any other time that I've ever been on it, because, we realize we have to change to keep up and stuff. But at the same time, we got to be mindful and not just make change for change's sake. So,
Right, right. Well, and maybe just something else to consider is aligning the current search for excellence a little bit more with this committee, which does include economics and community development. And maybe it's changing the farm management search for excellence to expand it to be a little bit more.
instead of calling it just farm and ranch management, call it something else
Yeah.
and expand it. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's very possible. That could be, and that's very easily done. And the other thing you have to consider, you talk about adding one. So every time you add an award, that's, in the neighborhood of, trying to think off the top of it, $1,500 that we don't have sponsorship for.
Yeah.
So that's, and again, we got to be mindful. We're not against spending money, but we got to be mindful of spending our money. Again, y'all are economists. You understand what a budget is.
Sure.
It's when I talk to my animal science and my agronomy friends that they don't understand, all this stuff. So it's,
Okay. Very good.
I shouldn't. They do understand it. I just give them a hard time.
Well, sure. We know. It's
Yeah.
not always top of mind. Okay, so the other thing we are just kind of trying to figure out is mentoring opportunities, and maybe some of the other committees are also talking about mentoring. For example, one of the ideas was to just kind of pair a first-time attendee with someone who's attended quite often, or at least in the past, at the AMPIC. So I know there's the first timers information that is shared, but this would be like, hey, we just noticed that you are new and you have an interest in this area, and here's someone that can, in the ag economics and community development area that can help you with this conference. So anyway, that was one of the ideas for mentoring. This really comes out of the idea that as extension changes in various states, there's sometimes not a very big cohort. For example, some of the Illinois farm management team members call on me quite often because they just don't have a strong cohort of farm management team members. It's a very small group. And so when they want to discuss new ideas, who do they turn to? And so that's kind of where this idea came from, is that, maybe we can kind of create those cohorts across state lines.
I can
Alexa.
speak.
Oh, go ahead, Robin. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, I can speak a little bit to this from more of a state level. So I have been chair of our early career development for a while now. And we've done quite a bit trying to develop some of those more informal relationships between people. And, for us, one of the things that we've done is more written things, but we've provided full on, here's how AMPIC works, here's the schedule, here's the things that you should be at, here's optional if it feels fun. And I sometimes think that is one of the most beneficial things for folks, because I remember my first AMPIC, I went to everything I could go to, and I will never do it again. It was great, but it was also terrible, and it was too much, and I had 3 presentations, and it was a wild time, but we did it, we got it done, and we learned some lessons. And had I had some more support from somebody who had done it before, I would have known better. So I'm not sure if that's something, maybe Madeline, that we can reach out to the early career development and ask them if we can assist with that and kind of let them lead it, or if they've considered something like that. My only question becomes kind of, how do you do that? Is it committee members only? Is it, could we get a list of first timers and kind of reach out and do it opportunistically if they're interested in that? But I certainly think that's a great idea, and I'd be more than willing to help do whatever I could to help do that.
Great,
would-
those are fabulous ideas, Robin.
I will tell you, the early career development, the first timers thing has changed dramatically since I got in, and I realize I'm an old person now. And Robin, I'll tell you, my first meeting, what I remember about is the hospitality rooms, and trying to walk back from them. So you know, and as a young person, that got me hooked, and so it's and again, economist, free alcohol, cool. But the first timers thing has changed, and now they actually, instead of being a stuffy old luncheon, that's probably what you went to, Robin, they're actually going off site, and it's more of a social gathering that they have. They try to pull two people in, like last year it was Cynthia Gregg and Sherry Sanders from Arkansas come in and talk. And so if you've ever heard them two talk, you realize it's kind of, it's old time comedy show almost, watching them talk. But anyway, so that's kind of see the changes. But that committee, again, I would visit with them and see what they're being up to. Because again, that thing it's changing every day. The issue we're going to run into is, and it eventually is, not having a place where we can walk to off site. So it's because I don't know that in Colorado we should have, but Montana it may be a little difficult to walk somewhere that's big enough. But anyway, we'll work with that. So.
Okay.
Something to think about with the early career, you know, pairing up or partnering, something that our university does, our College of Ag, you know, with new students, freshmen come in, they get to pick what they're interested in. And then there's like a list of potential people they can reach out to as mentors that have signed up. So maybe it's just simply asking the early career development to offer first years an opportunity to select a committee they're interested in or rank them, and then have them have a person on those committees or whatnot being a point of contact they can reach out to and become a mentor or ask them to be a mentor or something like that. Kind of like what we do with our College of Ag here at UGA. So just an idea or a thought.
The only issue, guys, and this gonna sound bad coming from me, but this is Ag Econ is just the redheaded stepchild. I mean, it's just, I mean, I'm on the every committee hiring the new ag educators here in Oklahoma, and I haven't interviewed a single person with an Ag Econ background. So and very few of them are interested in it. But I do want to applaud this committee because again, y'all are very active, and Madeline, a pre-tour, I would have never envisioned an Ag Econ pre-tour. So you would be commended for doing something like that. I wish I could go, but Keith wants me at the pre-board meeting, so I can't go. So it's
Yeah, I know. There's so much crammed into such a short time.
yeah,
But
well,
we are very excited about it. Yeah.
well, like I said, y'all are be commended, and like I said, I'm pretty excited just listening to y'all talk today. So it's.
Can I just make one statement? And again, this is not unique to this committee, but early career is something I'm pretty passionate about. One of the things, again, in hindsight, is very challenging for new people is I didn't know it was just like show up at a committee. Like nobody
Yeah.
told me that part. So I didn't know that I was allowed to just go. I didn't know you could be on more than one if you just like reach out and say, "Hey, I'm interested in what you do." So I think that that's maybe another opportunity, even if it's just an email, you know, that says, "Hey, like here's our committee, here's what we're working towards and the things we're trying to accomplish. You know, we'd love to have you involved if you're interested." Because I think we are right in some ways. Like the majority of my work is not Ag Econ focused, but Ag Econ plays into every single thing my farmers do. So it has to be part of the conversation. So I think helping people recognize that and understand that is really valuable. And just on a whole, helping people understand what the purpose of the committees are and where the opportunity is within them, I think is really important.
And Robin, that's the reason why we moved these committee meetings to prior to AMPIC and by Zoom. So actually, you don't even have to come to AMPIC to be involved in the committee. And so I'm a little disappointed in the number of people that showed up today as far as non-committee members, but not unexpected. So, but again, this is the first year we've tried this. So hopefully we can get this out as we go along. Because, I mean, we did email everybody, but we all get 1,000 emails a day. So it's, you know, and Scott may, hopefully he's not listening to this, but sometimes I don't read his right away because, so.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit, JJ, because myself and my fellow committee members, we were very confused about today. I mean, I'm just going to speak for myself here because we did like a doodle poll with Sherry. We got it set up, but I didn't have any information about like who am I supposed to invite? How are people going to be invited to this? And I sure didn't see anything from Scott on this, and I do try to read his emails.
Oh, it came out in an e-blast.
Yeah, so it was there, but I missed it. And then, and Sherry has her meeting scheduled today in like 15 minutes, and I got confused. I'm like, oh, I thought this was going to be an Ag Econ meeting, but actually it's a meeting for all the professional improvement committees. And I myself got confused, like, oh, okay, that's what this is today. And so I was not really prepared for today, and I didn't do a good job of reaching out and specifically inviting people to attend because I just got confused. So, I mean, it was a switch this year, and yeah, I could have done a better job on it, but I just didn't have a lot of information.
Madeline, you're fine. You did a great job. Don't. And here's the deal. I know this is the first year we've tried this, and I knew, every time you try something brand new, there's going to be several things. And again, we had no roadmap on how to do this. And so now next year, Blake, we know a little more. Okay. So it's, don't beat yourself down, because it really, I'm beating my own self down because I wanted better. I wanted this to work better, but that's just me. And I probably didn't do a good enough job getting it out and stuff, but I knew there was going to be hurdles, but you did a fine job. Don't worry about it. And you're sitting there talking, in my notice thing come up. Yeah, you have another Zoom meeting in 15 minutes. So, but no, you did a fine job, and don't worry about it. And so, and like I said, next year, Blake, we know what kind of how to do. And so we'll probably do a better job, and this will get better as we go on. And again, this is just kind of I hate Zoom meetings, but I realize they're the way of the world. And so, and this, again, I'm hoping that we can get more of our members, involved in the committee structure. And like I said, because you don't even have to attend AMPIC now to listen to the committee structure. So, but I don't know how many people realize that this year, but we do this once, and they'll realize it next year. So
they will definitely realize it more next year. So, initially when we thought about this virtual meeting, we thought maybe we could do more like what we did last year. So let's see if I can just pull this up. This was our meeting minutes from last year. And we did some networking activities. We had people share their greatest audience need, their best professional development, and their favorite extension program that they have done. And so, in the future, if we plan a little better, I think we could do some of that virtually too, have some sharing like that with some polls or some other kind of activity. And we did spend quite a bit of time talking about the committee goals for next year, and we've got our meeting set up. We've got the poll set up that Blake shared with you. We have our little flyer that we're going to be able to pass out at AMPIC. So I hope that we can have a strong start to the new year. Give people a break in August, but we decided we'd start in September. And and be able to accomplish some of these goals that we set out. So it's just some of that networking, that we missed, and we did have a pretty good turnout. I'm not sure how many people are listed right here, maybe 15 or 20, I suppose. And so, I mean, that's always a goal too, is just try to get more people involved.
Yeah.
But I guess, I'm thankful for the people that we have with us today, and we've got some good ideas down. We've had some good discussion, so I thank everyone for that. Jessica, I haven't had a chance to say hello to you yet. Thank you for joining us. Would you like to unmute and tell us a little bit about you, where you're coming from today?
Hi there, I'm from University of Florida, and I popped in today just to listen in and learn a little bit more about what you all do at the NACA level. We actually have a connected committee or previously connected but now disconnected committee for AggieCon and community development with Florida. And, one of the things that the other two committee members and I have been discussing is how do we reconnect? Do we reconnect? What's going on at the national level? And, we're kind of trying to launch a agricultural land transition, like farm transition education program for our agents. So that's kind of like the focus that we're taking in our state to kind of, do something with our committee. But we're interested in knowing more about how we might be able to connect, with you all and how it all fits together. So thanks for letting me listen in.
Oh, of course. Thank you for being here. And that topic of farm transition, that's actually one of the things that is a common thread with this committee, and one of the focus areas that we want to see going forward. Just because, no matter what state you're from, we're all trying to help transition farmland to that next generation of farmers. And so
Yeah, absolutely.
it's definitely a common thread.
And
Jessica,
great
I
that
just want
there's
to
people with
throw
accent.
in there, I'm the state chair for Georgia, and I would love to partner with Florida on anything that y'all want to work together on. Like, that program is something we're thinking about bringing here too, something similar. We've been
Fabulous.
talking about it, so I dropped my email to you in the chat. Let's
Excellent.
talk more.
Thank
I'd love
you.
to.
Okay, thank you. Okay, is there any other ideas that you all have for this committee, or things that you for sure want to put on our to-do list to follow up on?
Do you want to tell everybody how many we have registered for our pre-tour?
Well, the most recent number I got from Scott was 12. So I'm not sure exactly where we are today. So I think we have a great turnout. We were hoping for a little bit more. We planned for around 20. Okay, Scott says up to 13, waiting for the 13th to pay. So that is fantastic. We did end up renting 2 vehicles, SUVs, so we have room for 16 currently. We were not able to rent a van, which would have been a little less expensive for our transportation, because we had a little a snafu on we didn't know who was responsible for actually reserving that van. So we didn't get one. So we have the 2 SUVs, which will work just fine. And Jake and Blake are going to drive. So I'm excited about that. But Lisa and I will pick the vans up from the airport and have them ready to go in the morning. So looking forward to Blake and Jacob being our chauffeurs. And our tour hosts are all super excited. We're coming. I think they're just really great people. We were able to connect with Shane McLellan, who's an extension agent in McLellan County. And he was just really helpful to us and just giving us some ideas and, helping us choose the best barbecue place for lunch and really connecting us with the agricultural community in Waco. So it came together pretty well, and I think it's going to be a fabulous day.
So Blake, are you gonna go to Atlanta and drive around for practices for Dallas? Because it's pretty about the same.
Well, I drive in Savannah traffic all the time, so
No, and Savannah ain't got nothing on Dallas, I'm here to tell you.
well, I drove through there last January pretty easy like, so I think I'll be okay. I was
Okay.
at the Beltwide Cotton Conference, and so I got
Okay.
a little taste of it. I drove all the way. Don't ever drive from Georgia to Texas in one day. I'll never do it again. That was a long drive, but I had a little fair share of some Dallas traffic.
Okay, I just making sure. So it's
Hi, Jake.